Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon in crystal clear HD. That's over 220 football games for the entire regular season. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you include NFL Red Zone, a channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game and all your fantasy football teams. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket. Call 601-8992 today.
Government to borrow money to finance hurricane rebuilding efforts. Water and sewage workers on strike over outstanding issues. The country's first ultra marathon took place in Zuma. Plus, Chinese business owners donate to hurricane relief. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Helping news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie has revealed the government may borrow money to help fund an aggressive and proactive reconstruction program in the central and southern Bahamas. While it is still unclear how much it will cost to rebuild homes, buildings, and roads destroyed by Joaquin, Christie estimates it will be in the tens of millions. He insisted not even the most successful fundraiser will get the job done. Vonnie Toot reports.
With damage estimates pegged at well over $60 million, Prime Minister Perry Christie says government will consider borrowing money from the Caribbean Development Bank and the Chinese to assist in rebuilding efforts on the devastated Family Islands. During a news conference at the office of the Prime Minister today, Christie could not say how much the country would look to borrow, but said officials cannot afford to wait to assist those in need.
We have the resolve to aggressively deal with this matter. I have already asked the Ministry of Finance to review the opportunities for borrowing money from the Caribbean Development Bank, from monies concessional financing made available by the Chinese to the region, and other traditional sources, because the country cannot wait. And that even if we were to have the most successful fundraising campaign, these initial positions and initial requirements must be met.
An estimated 5,000 people were affected last week when Hurricane Joaquin hammered the central and southern islands, particularly Crooked Island, Long Island, and Acklands. It is unclear how many homes were damaged or destroyed. However, Christie says he understands it will cost tens of millions of dollars to rebuild homes, buildings, and roads damaged or destroyed by the powerful storm.
We have not yet quantified the value or the cost of the damages and the cost of repairs. But I can tell you that when I looked at some of the figures, we were over $60 million, and we were still having assessments come in.
We asked the Prime Minister if the significant revenue collected following the January 2015 implementation of value-added tax would also be used to fund its reconstruction program. He suggested that is very unlikely.
We are feeling very, very good about the success of that as a revenue source, and clearly it has helped us. But we have to make the assessment as to the amount of money necessary. We can't wait fully for that because I've already directed now that we move on a proactive basis in places where there are difficulties with education.
Christie said government will also begin fundraising efforts chaired by senior bank executives who will ensure money raised is spent in the right way. He said the government will take a very aggressive and proactive approach to reconstructing and rebuilding the impacted Family Islands through an organized process. For that reason, officials have put together a reconstruction team headed by former Director of Works Melanie Roach.
And we have already started to compile a list of the infrastructure works that need to undertake. We're waiting we're going to get the reports from the Department of Social Services with regards to the individuals who would need assistance in repairing their homes or replacement of homes.
Director of the National Emergency Management Agency, Stephen Russell, says officials will spend the next 2 to 3 weeks ensuring items continue to get into the affected areas in a coordinated fashion. Then he says they will begin their repair and reconstruction program. While there are still many unknowns at this point, the Prime Minister said one thing is clear: the Bahamas will recover from the devastation caused by Hurricane Joaquin. Reporting from the Office of the Prime Minister for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
Prime Minister Perry Christie has warned that if Baha Mar and its Chinese partners fail to reach a resolution that will lead to the $3.5 billion project's completion, the government will be forced to move forward with what he described as the chilling prospect of formal liquidation proceedings on November 2nd.
We have indicated, and I have taken the time to indicate to the construction company, to the developer, Mr. Ismailian, and to the China Export-Import Bank, that November 2nd is the date that the government must move formal liquidation proceedings, which is a totally different paradigm to what exists.
Christie insisted no one wants that to happen and stressed that all sides must try to the utmost to avoid having that eventuality come about.
I say it again, the 2nd of November is a very, very important date to be avoided, because then it brings in the chilling prospect of a formal liquidation,
Which you don't want.
which the country doesn't want. No one wants that.
Christie said he expects the parties, which are well aware of the significance of that date, will find a formula between now and November 2nd to address their issues and reach an agreement that will result in the resumption of the stalled Cable Beach project.
And therefore, I must expect that continuing efforts will be made to have a formula satisfactory to the Bahamas, even if it is not to the total satisfaction of the bank, the construction company, or the developer, but to the Bahamas, where that development that is 97% completed will have construction resumed to completion and opening.
On September 4th, Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder granted the order appointing provisional liquidators to oversee Baha Mar's affairs. The hearing for the winding up petition of Baha Mar is set for next month. Baha Mar filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the U.S. District of Delaware this summer following several opening delays. Though government is expected to commit significant resources to fund rebuilding efforts on the family islands impacted by Hurricane Joaquin, Prime Minister Christie insists it will not affect their push to implement national health insurance in phases starting January 2016.
No. Because, as I said before, whatever expenditure we have, we've dedicated to that in form of construction. And, I pointedly said to you, I've asked the Minister of Finance to explore opportunities for lending. And the conference in Paris is going to be conditioned by the fact that the Americans have taken the position now that they are not going to oppose countries like the Bahamas seeking concessional financing.
Christie said he met with the Cabinet Committee on NHI this morning because there is an ensuing debate that could result in a confusing debate between the government, Medical Association of the Bahamas, and the insurance industry. By chairing the committee, Christie said he had hoped to steer the issue away from controversy.
We have an ongoing program where we are improving the facilities, major renovations, going to contract here in Grand Bahama, the clinics in the islands, preparing all of those sort of things to ensure that we can meet the date of January 1st implementation. The only question would be the extent to which we introduce it. And so my hope is that we would have an accommodation with the insurance industry, with the medical association, and that we would have a gradual introduction of NHI in a phased basis where nobody is unduly alarmed and where the country is not plunged into any uncertainty as a result of the cost commitment that we will have to undertake by the introduction of national health insurance. So,
in other news, just one day after leading a peaceful demonstration outside of Water and Sewage, members of the Bahamas Utility Services and Allied Workers Union decided to go on strike today. They say until they see results from management in reference to job security. Simone Davis reports.
More than 24 employees of the Water and Sewage Corporation say the only way they can get their message through to their general manager is to strike. They say their issues stem from working in hazardous conditions to unfair job termination. Union President Dwayne Wood said the matter quickly escalated after union members held a peaceful demonstration on Tuesday to protect their job security. Wood said after management unfairly terminated 2 employees a few weeks ago, it showed that jobs were not secure and management is not about.
A week ago, the general manager decided to let go 2 of our employees who are members of the Bahamas Utility Services and Allied Workers Union. The method that they used to terminate the first employee, was in contravention to our industrial agreement. The corporation is attempting to introduce a new style of termination that is in contravention to the Industrial Relations Act, in contravention to the ILO Convention, and in contravention to our industrial agreement.
The union president also said he personally reached out to the general manager, but have only been given the runaround and no solid resolution to their issues. He noted that the union is now taking a stance against what they believe is a new method of termination that is unfair to workers.
For this, we're saying to the corporation, we cannot allow this new system of separation into the union, because we don't know who will be next. It is a system of where there's no compassion, and a system where the general manager could walk into the corporation any day and say, you have eroded the relationship between the corporation and the union, and it has no bearing on the industrial agreement. So we're asking the corporation to be in line or come in line with the industrial agreement if you want to terminate somebody. Other than that, we will not allow it in this house.
One of the workers said he also blames the general manager for most of the issues that are caused in the corporation, which is why he should be the only one terminated immediately.
This is wrong. And if we let this happen to one, it could happen to all. Because what starts as one thing becomes a standard. Then they decide that, hey, look here, if we get rid of one thing, we could do it with everybody. And we could find ways and means to get rid of all the staff we want. This has got to stop. The reinstatement is number 1, but in my case, number 2 is get rid of the general manager. We need this man gone.
NB12 attempted to contact the corporation's general manager, Glenn LaVille, but he is currently out of the country. However, we spoke to another manager at Water and Sewage, Jacqueline Adderley, who said the company does not speak to the press about union matters. Wood said if their strike does not get the attention of the general manager, the union would do whatever it takes to ensure that workers are treated fairly.
My thing is that we have 2 members down, and whatever it takes or whatever it costs the union to have this problem rectified, we will be ready to go the full distance to get what we want resolved.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
You're watching the best in Bahamian news. There's more when NB12 returns.